proud to say I completed my first ever Pokemon Nuzlocke challenge. For those unfamiliar with the challenge, it means the following restrictions are in place for the entirety of your journey. 1. If a Pokemon faints, it is considered dead, and you either release it or store it in the PC to never use again. 2. You may only catch or receive one Pokemon from each location, and it must be the first you encounter. If you fail to catch the Pokemon, you may not receive a Pokemon from that location. And finally, you must nickname all of your Pokemon. That way, you end up becoming more attached to them, and it's more emotional should you lose them. I also added the additional rules of the set battle style, meaning I would never get a free turn to swap Pokemon, no in-battle items, and I must fight every trainer in the game. Finally, my last and maybe the most challenging restriction is that none of my Pokemon may out-level the next gym leader's strongest Pokemon. After all, if I could just grind indefinitely, it would take a good deal of the challenge out of it. If I was a better Pokemon trainer, I would have restricted the use of gift Pokemon and legendaries, but as it was my first run, I felt as though the restrictions I had in place were a sufficient challenge. At any rate, I decided that Pokemon Yellow would be my first attempt at a Nuzlocke. I had just beaten Blue again, and I felt like that gave me a good idea on what to plan for my run. I know what you're probably thinking. Hey, Cyberphile, why didn't you record more of this run with commentary? See, my new job has a lot of downtime, and I thought, correctly, that this would be a good way to pass the days. I do want to do a Nuzlocke here with you guys, but for now, the story of my run will have to suffice. Now enough preamble, let's get on to it. Since Pokemon Yellow was designed to be pretty similar to the anime, I was given my first Pokemon, Pick and Choose the Pikachu, by Professor Oak, and after dealing with the first little errand so I could purchase Pokeballs, made my first catch, Monkey the Mankey from Route 22. This was a huge catch for me because I was really worried about how I would deal with Brock, my first real challenge, as Pikachu would have little effect on him, and the no excessive grinding rule means I couldn't just bully him with a higher level. With a Rattata from Route 2 and an accidental kill on a Metapod, meaning no Viridian Forest Pokemon, I grinded a bit, then headed to Brock. As expected, Monkey the Mankey made short work of Brock's Geodude, but Onix was another story. Low Kick did good work, but I got greedy and ate a heavily damaging Bide, knocking out Monkey in a single hit. Onix was low on health though, and when he tried for another Bide, plagued the Rattata, tail-whipped it until it was safe enough to finish him with a quick attack. My first casualty, and one that I would hopefully learn from. Collecting Birdlord the Spearow from Route 3 and Dr. Acula the Zubat from Mount Moon, I continued on to Cerulean City. A side rule that I'm using I call the No Living Species Duplicates rule. Meaning, if my first wild encounter is a Pokemon that I already have and is still alive, or the evolution of such, it doesn't count as my first encounter. As a result, a few Spearows and Rattatas in, and I managed to catch another Mankey to replace Monkey just outside Cerulean in Route 4. My levels were climbing, and I knew that even at level 21, Pikachu would have a rough run against Misty's superpowered Starmie, so I opted to receive Onion Ring the Bulbasaur from Cerulean City and grind it to an Ivysaur, which handily dealt with Misty with no trouble. Bernie Manders the Charmander would also join in the route just above Cerulean. A Pidgeotto and a Jigglypuff catch later, and Birdlord ate a Raticate Hyperfang, killing him just outside Vermilion City. Luckily, I would probably make the best catch of my game, a Drowsy from Route 11. I trained him up and immediately gave him Dream Eater. Combined with Hypnosis, Arcana the Drowsy became a fearsome foe. Nabbing Thumb the Diglett from his cave and a Nidoran male named Monarch, my newly evolved Dugtrio would easily one-shot Lieutenant Surge's Raichu. I'd also enlist the naughty Squirtle from Vermilion City. On my way through to Lavender, I'd find Magnaman the Magnemite from Route 10, and Drowsy would crit one-shot Confusion, a possible Geodude catch from Rock Tunnel. At this point, the party was Ivysaur, Charmeleon, Squirtle, Dugtrio, Mankey, and Drowsy, when I ran into a slight problem. Slowpoke. A tough Pokemaniac and his Slowpoke thrashed my team, but didn't knock anyone out, when I realized nearly my entire team was weak to Water Psychic. Knowing that my Pikachu and Yellow version would never become Raichu, and feeling like Pikachu was just too frail, I took up Magnemite and booted Dugtrio. I also equipped Big Monk the Mankey with Dig to deal with electric types, only to subsequently lose him in a suicidal, self-destructing Geodude. I decided to replace him with the Nidoran male I caught, and immediately evolved him up to Nidoking, seeing as he really wouldn't learn anything more useful at this point. My plan was to keep Double Kick for any tough normal-type Pokemon, and to replace Mankey, and to use him as raw muscle until I could get the Earthquake TM. Magnaman, now outfitted with the Thunderbolt TM I won from Lieutenant Surge, easily one-shotted many foes, as I dealt with Erica and Team Rocket. I made a number of catches, including an Abra, Doduo, Ghastly, Snorlax, Ponyta, Cubone, Nidoran Female, Venonat, and Gloom, before ultimately deciding on Hitmonlee over Chan and Lapras in Saffron City. I felt like it would be better to have a backup fighting type, especially because water types would soon be on my list of what to catch, as I acquired the good and super rods. I took down Koga, but my new Charizard barely survived a crit psychic from his Venomoth with only 9 HP left. At this point, my next gym was Sabrina, which I was very nervous for. In case you're unfamiliar, psychic types in Gen 1 are incredibly good. They're only weak to bug types, and there's only 2 reasonable bug type moves, Twin Needle and Pin Missile. So basically your choices are a Jolteon, who won't really do much damage with Pin Missile, or Beedrill, who is too slow against Sabrina's monster level 50 Alakazam, and is also Poison type, meaning weak to Psychics. As a result, I spent as much time avoiding Sabrina as possible, did everything I could to avoid her. Along the way I made a number of water catches, Tentacle, Staryu, and Goldeen, as well as a Growlithe and Pokemon Mansion on Cinnabar. When I decided it was finally time to face Sabrina, my team was Magneton, Hypno, Venusaur, Blastoise, Charizard, and Nidoking, all level 40. If I was smarter and more patient, I could have gone in with a better team and less of a level deficit, but hell, I hate grinding, so here goes nothing. Had I just grinded a little here though, I could have saved myself a bunch of grinding that would come. I knew Alakazam would be rough, but I had no idea how rough. Magneton managed to clear everything but Alakazam, who would kill him at 75% health with the Psychic. Blastoise was my next move in the hope of an Ice Beam freezing him and avoiding any further losses. Unfortunately, I miscalculated just how deadly Psychic would be, and after hitting me with a low-roll Psybeam, and then thinking Blastoise could tank a Psychic, he went down. Sending out Charizard, Alakazam of course managed a crit on his next Psychic, killing him in a single blow. It was time for Arcana the Hypno to come out. Putting him to sleep with Hypnosis after a few failed attempts, then healing up with Dream Eater, Hypno did manage to force Alakazam to flinch long enough with Headbutt to finish him off. This was my first real loss. Even though I won the fight, I lost 3 really strong and useful Pokemon that I'd have to replace before continuing on. Using Max Repel, I walked all the way through the power plant to catch Zapdos, then replaced Blastoise with Staryu. In a freak Voltorb accident, I lost the Growlithe who was supposed to replace Charizard, so I ended up breaking out Ponyta. At first I was upset with this, but Ponyta's speed was actually a very welcome addition to the team, once she was beefed up to Rapidash status anyway. After some grinding, I handily dealt with Blaine and Giovanni for the last time. Before long, the team was ready for the Elite Four. Although I agreed to never use items in battle, I stocked up on full restores so my underleveled 48s through 51s would at least get a fresh fight going into each member of the Elite Four. And so, it began. Venusaur, Hypno, Rapidash, Zapdos, Starmie, Nidoking. Against Lorelei, I led off with Venusaur. In Gen 1 of Pokemon, critical hits are 4 times more likely than they were designed to be, so moves that crit more often, like Slash, or in this case Razor Leaf, tend to crit almost every time. I rolled the dice against her ice attacks and shifted to Zapdos when Slowbro came out, as I wasn't sure a single crit Razor Leaf would do it against Slowbro, and Venusaur couldn't survive a Slowbro Psychic. Against Jinx, Rapidash came out, and then I played it safe by sending Hypno out against Lapras. When a crit Blizzard almost finished off Hypno, Starwee the Starmie came out to clean up against Lapras. It was a grueling knockdown drag-out battle, but we did manage to come out on top, thanks to Starmie's recover ability. Bruno was a much easier fight. Venusaur dealt with Onixes, and Hypno handily dealt with his fighting types. Agatha was a slightly longer fight, but it wasn't terribly difficult. Nidoking's Earthquake was a force to be reckoned with, and when his HP dipped too low, Hypno came out to finish the job. Zapdos dealt with Lance's Gyarados and 1 Dragonair, then Starmie came out with Blizzard to do work. Unfortunately, Lance's Dragonite would barely survive the Blizzard, and would end Starmie with a single Thunder. My first Elite Four casualty. Rapidash was fast enough to finish off Dragonite before he could do any more damage, but we'd have to go into the last battle with our rival with 1 fewer Pokemon. Throughout the playthrough, our rival never really posed much of a threat to us, but this time he had our nemesis, Alakazam. Leading off with Venusaur, we handily one-shotted Sandslash, then got crit Psybeamed. Farewell, Onion Ring. This did, however, give me a clean switch to Hypno, which would stick to the tried-and-true Hypnosis Headbutt tactic. Alakazam actually went down with little struggle thanks to this. After this, I felt like I had the fight in the bag. Putting Blue's Exeggutor to sleep, Rapidash came out to finish the job, then Rapidash had the best fight of her life. burning Magneton with a single Fire Blast, then forcing a flinch from Stomp, and Rapidash made it through the entire encounter with Magneton without taking any damage. And remember, this is before Magneton got the Steel typing, so Fire wasn't super effective. When Cloyster came out, it was Zapdos' turn. He absolutely needed to hit with Thunder or a second Ice Beam would surely have ended him. Luckily he did, and FLAREON was no match for a few more Thunders. I had done it. I was the Pokemon Master. If you're familiar with the Pokemon games and have never tried a Nuzlocke run, I highly recommend you try it out with similar restrictions as mine. It's an incredibly fun and rewarding challenge, and you get to use Pokemon you never thought you would. It really makes you think about fights in a different way, and having your battle type on set makes fights much more intense, as you have to strategize which of your Pokemon can tank the next hit. I loved my Nuzlocke run, and I plan to do another very soon. If you've never done a Nuzlocke before, I highly recommend you grab the version of Pokemon you're most familiar with and give it a go. If you can make it all the way through, you truly are a Pokemon Master. I'd like to take a moment to thank my one and only Patreon supporter, Harvest Time. Thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot to me, and keeps me motivated to keep putting out quality content. If you're interested in becoming a patron, you can find the link in the description of this video. There you can listen to me sing your praises, and even score some exclusive Cyberphile merchandise. Hey, thanks for watching! Don't forget to subscribe for more Cyberphile content, and if you liked this video, show me with that little thumbs up button. If you liked this video, you might like one of my other videos. You can click right on the boxes to jump to them. Cyberphile, offline.